Major Mohommed Shah, I come to you. A lot of evacuation and airlift and of course supply material aid is going on from India's side. How do you feel about that?
You know, I really commend the Indian government, the Indian diplomats, the embassy over there. They are really doing an overwhelming job. They are actually going out of their way, and which is their duty, which rightly so. So nothing extraordinary that way. But yes, but they are doing a commendable job, very commendable. And yes, I would like to advise my young brothers and sisters stuck in Ukraine who are thinking that help is not reaching them. Let me tell you, my dear friends, you are in a war-torn country, and we all care for you. We all are concerned about you. We all are stand by you in solitude. And it is not that easy. You have to understand one thing. It is a war-torn country. It is right now under war, it's under siege. So things would not be that easy, which you are expecting, that things would be in a peacetime. But I have to commend your spirits. I have to commend your bravery. Let me tell you, as a trained soldier, I have been through tougher times, but had I not been a trained soldier and I was put in a situation that you are put right now, I do not think I would be able to handle it the way you youngsters are putting up with. I am seeing people on your channel, Riyanka, with smiles. I know what they are actually going through. They are trying to put up a brave front. But then, you know, at the end of the day, what is bravery? Again, they are trying to put up a brave front because their parents will be watching and they do not want them to get concerned. I know the kind of water they would be drinking. I know the kind of shortage of food that they would be having. At the same time, when India is actually sending all the aid possible, the Air Force is involved. One of our former army chiefs, General V.K. Singh, who is now a minister, he is there personally, so you all would be in safe hands. And another thing, on that note, Riyanka, I would like to tell you, there was a small poem about two soldiers I read in school. And let me see if I remember a few lines from that correctly. It was by Thomas Hardy, where he says that he talks about two soldiers on both the sides of the border, where soldiers are not personal enemies. Like, for example, I'll give you an example of the First World War. On the eve of the First World War, 24 December, in fact, France and Germany, who are bitter enemies, they played a friendly football match at the no man's land. But the very next morning, they were back to firing at each other. When they played the match, they sung songs, hymns, exchanged cigarettes, and exchanged mementos, gifts. But see, soldiers are doing their duty. So when Russian soldiers were actually, see, again, if you think of it, which country came into which country? Everyone is a tiger in their own kingdom. Everyone is a king in their own kingdom. So Russians came to attack Ukraine, right? Ukraine didn't go to attack Russia. That's a different thing that President Zelensky said, that now we will come in an offensive mode. Because offensive is the best defense. So now that's a totally different ballgame. But then, if you see logically, Russians came into Ukraine to attack them. So when there are Russian casualties, like Ukraine killed a major general from the Russian army, which is a very, very big setback. In fact, it's a very, very big blow, in fact. So because major generals do not really come in the front line, they are passing orders, they are at the base camp, they are at the headquarters. So this actually shows the kind of guerrilla warfare that Ukrainians are actually skilled in. Now, having said that, so when Russians are getting casualties, obviously because they've come in a foreign territory, and let me tell you, common sense says, if a tank is surrounded by civilians, so the soldier in the tank would not want to, it's very easy for the soldier to load the tank and fire at the crowd, at the mob, but the soldier would not do that. No professional army would do that. But there are many collateral damages that are happening. There are many things which are happening which should not have been happening. At the end of the day, now civilians have held Russian soldiers captive. First time I'm actually hearing this. Now at the same time, now soldiers on the other side are not personal enemies. So Thomas Hardy wrote these lines. Had he and I but met, he is talking about how situations would have been different of two soldiers had they not met at the war front. So Thomas Hardy writes, had he and I but met at an old ancient inn, we would have sat us down to wet by many a nipper kin. Sat us down to wet means two for a drink. By many a nipper kin. Nipper kin is like a peg of rum. So it is a measure of beer. We would have sat us down to wet by many a nipper kin. But raised as infantry staring face to face, I shot at him as he at me and killed him in his place. I shot at him because he was my foe. Just so? Yes, he was my foe. That's clear enough. Although I thought he'd list perhaps, just as I, without a work, had sold straps, no other reason why. Yes, quaint and curious war is. You shoot a fellow down, you would meet if met where any bar is. or help to half a crown. Crown is the currency. So you would help each other otherwise. But here, look at this mass destruction. There are talks of nuclear weapons being used. God forbid. God forbid what happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1940s. On the very first day, 96,000 people suffered casualties. The very first day. Second day, there were lakhs. And it went on. I'll give you an example of Bhopal gas tragedy in India. Oh my God, people are still suffering. They are still buying the repercussions of what had happened there. So here, Sam, Dan, Dan, Bhed. So both the countries are actually, now it's a clash of egos, I feel. It is a personal fight between President Vladimir Putin and President Vladimir, as they say in Ukrainian, and President Zelensky. And let me tell you, President Zelensky, though yes, I would not really consider it as a good leadership. Why? Because you are putting the life. You know, one thing, General Bakshi will agree with me over here totally, that, you know, one thing we are taught in academy and when we are doing service, if an insurgent escapes from your captivity, let him escape. It's all right. But don't endanger the life of a single soldier. As this line I had used in this film also, Heather, in which I had acted in, I said, no militant dead or alive is worth my soldiers' lives. And so, it is not worth putting the stake of your countrymen at risk and the bloodbath. At the end of the day, okay, how long will Kyiv be able, they're putting up a tough fight, I will not deny that, but how long? For how long will Kyiv be able to, or Ukraine be able to put up that fight against Russia? Both the countries are going to destroy each other to death. It is like, oh, I'm drowning, I'm dying, I will take you along with me. It reminds me again, you know, in the year 2003, we had a very successful operation in a place called Akhnur in Jammu Kashmir, where we killed some militants. And when the militant died, he died with a hand grenade under his chest, with the pin pulled out. So when you would pull the body out, the grenade will explode. And the same kind of a scene was used in the film Uri, where the militant died with a grenade. So it's like, I am dying, I will not die alone. I will take you along with me. So, I mean, you know, a good sense has to prevail from both ends. You cannot clap with one hand.
Right.
You always clap with both the hands. Yes, Riyanka.
All right, Major Shah. Shah, what do you have to say on the fact that, you know, the Operation Ganga, let's also talk about Operation Ganga right here. Lots of flights are coming in from Ukraine and its borders, and of course the whole mission looks quite successful, but there are also a lot of students who are stuck in Ukraine, a lot of citizens who are stuck in Ukraine. Simultaneously, a lot of things are happening. US condemning Putin and India on its mission. Somehow, do you think this would build some sort of a pressure on Russia?
Oh, well, honestly speaking, I think Russia is going to be undeterred because the world, the entire international community has tried exerting as much pressure on Russia. It did not work. So now they changed their strategy after imposing so many sanctions, because who will benefit by those sanctions? Russia would be undeterred for two reasons mainly. First, President Putin has made Russia so strong that it would not really make any difference to him. It would make some difference to him, but when you go for war, you are prepared to die as well at the same time, and yet at the same time put up a tough fight. But yet your objective while going for a war is not to die for your country, but to let the enemy die for their country. So President Putin will be undeterred. Secondly, even the furthermore sanction on Russia, Russia will open the trade routes through China, its ally. Though China very clearly and very smartly abstain from voting like the way India did. But the writing on the wall is very clear who China is supporting. Pakistan went ahead the first day, went to Russia. I say, and you know, okay, I'll check on the lighter side. There is you have to do a COVID test before you enter Russia. This, I would say, is the most expensive COVID test ever for Imran Khan to go into Russia. And then NATO and America said, okay, we'll sort him out. We'll show him. And then he was penalized. So now the kind of money, the billions of dollars, unimaginable. I mean, I think Pakistan will spend the entire life slogging and they would not be able to repay that loan. And what did he go to Russia for? Let me tell you this also. Very interesting. He went to Russia to ask for a loan. They want to do some pipeline work, gas pipeline work in Pakistan. How shameless can one get? At such time when a country is going to war, is under crisis, you land up there and you ask for a loan. But Russia shoot them away. Russia said, get lost from here. So the shameless ways he came back. Now, you know, when China will benefit from these sanctions, US has changed the strategy now. US is saying, now if you lay down your arm, if you do cease firing right now, we will revoke the sanctions. So you can get those privileges back. But then Russia, it will not make any difference to them. They are totally undeterred. A country, I'll give you an example. Supposing you are CEO of a company, a very senior position, and from a CEO you are made a janitor. So obviously it would be, no, I'm not saying that it became janitor. I'm just giving an example. I'm giving an analogy for everyone to understand, so everyone who's listening to us, all our viewers, to be able to connect very easily with it. So then you, from a CEO, one becomes a janitor. So that grouse would be there in your mind. Oh, I was here, and now from here, there I've come here. So that's almost the same on the analogy Russia was trying. That, oh, in 1991 I was superpower, USSR. So many nations with us together, and now we got disintegrated. In fact, the MiG-21s, Bison, they were manufactured in Russia, where? In Ukraine. Most of the ships were manufactured in Russia, where? In Ukraine. But today, the engineers, the technicians have forgotten how to actually go ahead. Because it's rust, na? It's like if you do not use that skill, it lies low. Now, what happened? Okay, China is afraid. China did not vote. India did not vote. UAE also did not vote. Let me explain to you why UAE did not vote. UAE did not vote because of two reasons primarily. First reason being, well, UAE is friends with Russia. Russia is, at the end of the day, friend with Iran. And Iran is friend with Yemen. Look at how it goes. Yemen has got a lot of insurgents over there. So they will come into UAE. First reason was that. Second reason, because Russia is the third largest oil manufacturer. Of oil producer, in fact. Sorry, not oil producer. So now when Russia is in the business of oil, so is UAE. So they work in tandem. That tandem should not be lost. So UAE said, okay, we will not vote for them. But at the end of the day, everyone knows who's supporting who. And best stand is, I would not call India has taken a non-aligned stand. I would say India has taken a multi-aligned stand, which means we are aligned to a lot of nations internationally. Globally, we are well respected. You can see what happened even in Ukraine. There were Pakistani students putting the Indian flag on their buses and going and trying to get a safe passage. Why? Imagine a Pakistani putting up an Indian flag. That is the irony. And that speaks highly of the patriotism, the flavor, and the emotions of Indians. It's like, reciting a Gayatri Mantra. I'll give you an example. Gayatri Mantra or the Ayatul Kursi or a prayer, which is meant to safeguard you. The Indian flag serves as that purpose. So most certainly, it is something we all should feel proud about. And yes, when we talk about Operation Ganga's success, I would call it a success. Because at the end of the day, yes, we did lose Naveen, we did lose a student, one student did get wounded, yes. See, these things would happen. We have to accept the reality. These things would happen, and I feel very sorry for that. And at the same time, one more thing, it is something very insensitive. One thing in the army which we follow a principle, that if a soldier is shot, be it wounded, or be it if he was martyred, killed in action, we do not leave a soldier behind. We ensure that everyone comes back. Unlike Pakistan in 1999, who refused to identify the dead bodies of their brave hearts, of their soldiers, who they sent out in civil dress as militants. Now let me tell you, when we talk about Naveen, about his body coming back, I'll give you a small analogy over here. There was a senior of mine from the army in the year 1999. He fought very bravely in the Kargil war. And there is a place in Kargil called Hanif Uddin sector. So that time, Captain Hanif Uddin, he was martyred, he was awarded a Veer Chakra posthumously. His body could not be brought back. So the chief of the army staff, General D.P. Malik, had called up his mother, who was a school teacher, and said, ma'am, I'm very sorry, it's been 10 days, we have not been able to recover Captain Hanif Uddin's body. You know what his mother said? His mother said, I do not want to lose another brave son of India who would be trying to recover my son's dead body. I am proud of him, and these were the emotions of an Indian. So you can well imagine. So you can well imagine, united we stand, Riyanka.
Definitely, Major Shah. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for giving us all your reactions and comments.